Hi everyone, welcome to VLSI Academy. We have discussed a lot of topics in the CTS concepts already, and in this video we will see about post CTS optimization. If you have seen our previous videos, then you must have come across this VLSI spectrum at least once, which we have designed here, and we have discussed about floor planning and placement stage inputs and the bare minimum requirements to qualify for that particular stage before proceeding to the next one. And this is the CTS related inputs, and you can clearly see that almost all inputs are same with respect to the placement, but only there is addition of CTS spec file, which we discussed about in the next further videos also. So we have discussed a lot of topic in the CTS, and you can find that in the playlist of VLSI physical design course for our series already. Now here is the catch: after CTS is done, then we don't directly route it, but first we do the optimization on the synthesized clock tree database, and then that optimized database we will give it for the routing like this. So the flow is actually like this. Instead, in fact, it does not go directly for the signal routing. It will go for post CTS, which we are going to discuss now. In post CTS optimization, we do the timing optimization after the clock tree is synthesized. So after synthesis, real values of the metal will come into the picture, and hence timing will change accordingly. So we do the timing optimization based on the synthesized clock tree again. And whatever the commonly used techniques for fixing the setup and hold that tool will use them here again for the optimization purposes. Now these set of techniques would already be used in the placement also, and these are but not limited to resizing. Then second one is cloning, and then third one is buffering, and then fourth one is decomposition. Not limited to this, there can be other fixes for fixing the timing also. So these are the commonly used fixes that you also know already. Now one common conceptual question arises here is, what is the effect of these techniques? So resizing will help in increase will help in increase of driver strength. So when your driver strength is increasing, then cell resizing, let's say you are resizing this cell, so it is a driver for these cells, and these cells will get a better driver, so strength of the driver is improving, which will in turn improve the signal strength. So cloning will improve your capacitance. So if your capacitance or fan out is violating, then you can do this cloning, and it will reduce the fan out or the capacitive load on the output pin. How you can imagine is, so let us say that if you have 8 pins connected to these, all these 8 are the pins which are in the end, these all 8 buffers, these all are connected to the single driver. So here you can say that we created this clone, and because of this now it is split into 4 so fan out effectively is reducing at this pin, and hence you can see that better improvement in the signal strength at the output pin. Then comes the buffering. So buffering improves the transition generally, and in turn it improves the signal strength and reduces the delay for the setup. Then decomposition helps in area optimization, and it also improves in the timing optimization. So these are the timing related goals that tool will try to achieve during post CTS optimization. That is, timing optimization means optimizing the WNS, then optimize the total negative slack, that is TNS, and for all the timing critical paths which are not able to still meet, we will use the useful skew concept, and we will try to optimize the timing, overall timing, with the useful skew. Now apart from timing optimization, tool also do the DRV fixes on the clock path. So these are clock DRVs, that would be your clock tran, that is clock transition violation, and your clock capacitance violation and fan out violation. These are typical clock related violations. These are design rule violations which tool will try to fix during the post CTS optimization. In fact, what actually would be happening is DRV fixes generally gives some timing violations again in turn, and those needs fixes again. So after DRV fixes is done, tool will again try to fix the timing that has come because of DRV fixes. Not only this, tool will also try to do the crosstalk related fixes. So we have discussed that crosstalk fixes will be your shielding, and then next would be NDR. So we need to check whether NDR is proper or not. Even after applying NDR also we may see crosstalk. Then we do the shielding of the clock net. And if transition is going bad or we do not have enough space to apply a shield, then what we can do is upsize the driver when you are facing the crosstalk. So upsizing the driver also is an option, or if the net is too long, then we buffer the net. So these are the fixes that we can do for checking the crosstalk. And if tool has done a lot of buffering during the CTS stage, then what happens is your dynamic power will go for a toss. Dynamic power will go for a toss if you have a lot of buffers in the CTS. So CTS buffering needs to be checked, and that is done in the post CTS stage, that you should not have a lot of dynamic power getting dissipated. So you do the area and power optimization during the post CTS stage. Now here is a very commonly asked question which is related to the concepts, that why clock signals are routed first and what will happen if we route signals first and then clock later. You can write your answers in the comment section. We would love to discuss it with you there. That is all for this video. We will come up with more concepts in further videos. Till then, please do like, share and subscribe to the channel. Thank you.